And what's ready on the next? I'm going to put Mr. Kelly aside. So what are you ready to go on, Ms. Sutter?
Megan Gearhart is here and ready to go, as is Mr. Jarrell Skates. And then he's not technically represented right now, but Mr. Carl Castano is also here.
All right. Who's the second one you indicated?
Jarrell Skates, he's here for a PV hearing today.
Let's do Ms. Gearhart over here. All right. So we're on the record in docket 22022485, people of the state of Michigan versus Megan Gearhart. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record?
Andrew Stevens on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Lauren Sutter on behalf of Ms. Gearhart, who is standing to my right.
And you are Megan K. Gearhart?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. This is the time set for sentencing today. And Ms. Sutter, did you have the opportunity to go over the pre-sentence report with Ms. Gearhart?
I did, Your Honor.
Any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Just a correction at this time in the employment section. It indicated that she was still employed at, I'm forgetting the name of it, Aston Carter. That was a temporary assignment. That assignment has now ended and she's waiting on the next one to begin. So she's in between employment placements right now.
You're waiting on next employment placement.
Yes.
All right. With that understanding, allocution, Ms. Sutter.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've had a number of discussions with Ms. Gearhart throughout the pendency of this case, and I would agree with the summation come to by the probation department that this is a person who takes full accountability for the decisions made on the day of this incident, and that this is not a regular occurring thing for her. This is not a problematic habit that's going to invade her entire life. This was a one-time decision that was made in error, but she is stepping forward and taking accountability for it and working hard on improving not only her position, but the community's position in making sure that this never happens again, that there's no place for it in her life to happen again. To that end, I would ask the court to accept the recommendation of probation in this, essentially non-reporting probation for the completion of 2 programs. I would say I spoke with Ms. Gearhart. She's indicated that she has completed both of those programs already, and I am in receipt of the confirmations of both of those if I can provide them to you.
You may, I may already have them, but let me.
I figure better safe than sorry.
Yes.
So she has completed the MAD Victim Impact Panel already and the Weekend Alcohol Education Use Program. She did those in early and late February, which my understanding is those are the only real recommendations of probation. That otherwise being no probation, they did not appear it was appropriate or needed in this case, and I would agree with that. So I would ask the court to follow the recommendation to accept these 2 diplomas and notice of completion as satisfactory and sentence her to fines and costs here today.
Thank you. Ms. Gearhart, is there anything you'd like to say to the court before the court passes sentence?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Gearhart, you were here last week, okay? And then I said we should do this in person. And I'll tell you why. I'm if nothing else, I'm transparent. Okay, I've got my flaws just like everybody else. I don't see a recommendation like this that often. All right, and you had the opportunity to see the gentleman before you.
Yes.
There's some real concern about drinking with him. All right. I don't see that same concern in your file. I just don't see it. But I've been wrong before. Okay, I agree with the probation assessment, and then you come in and you've done pretty much everything you're supposed to do. So my inclination is that it's just too good to be true. Have you ever like somebody gives you, like, you find $100 on the street and you're like, that's not how this happens. You're doing everything you're supposed to, which means that in the pre-sentence investigation, everything that they've looked at appears to be that this is a one-time bad judgment, right? And I'm going to treat it as that, all right? And that worries me because it's like finding $100 in the street. I'm worried about that. But you've come in, you've done everything you're supposed to do. And I'm kind of, Ms. Gearhart, I'm kind of using you as an example for me. All right. I've been on the bench for about a year now. Okay. And I want to believe that there are people who just make bad decisions. I just want that to be true. And this just looks like that. It's just like one time you made a bad decision. There's no criminal history here. There's nothing. And I think on some level, you shouldn't be rewarded for your bad decision, but I don't want to punish you for what I appears to be doing everything you're supposed to do. So I'm kind of using you as a barometer for me. Okay. Now, if you violate your probation, if you there is no probation, so I mean you've done everything you're supposed to. But if you're back in front of the court or me and with another one, I'll know. Well, I guess I was right. I guess nobody finds $100 on the middle of the street. That's what I'm hoping I don't find. I'm going to accept the recommendation. All right. This is for the operating while impaired. So the recommendation is I'm not going to, I don't know if you had any credit. Did you have any credit for time served for the night you were in?
I'm not sure. I did 15 hours, but other than that.
All right.
So I think it was just for the night of the arraignment, so 1 day at most credit.
All right. So there's credit is given for 1 day previously served. I'm not ordering any additional jail time. Fines and costs will be $200 fines and $200 costs. Crime victims' rights fee of $75, state minimum court costs of $50. Plus 400. So that's a grand total of $525. The recommendation is to complete both of the items you've completed, which is the prevention and training, and then the program. So the sharing victim stories to prevent drunk driving. I'm not ordering any additional probation in this matter per the recommendation. Ms. Gearhart, I'm going to keep this judgment of sentence just to remind me that there are people who just make bad decisions one time. Okay. I'm going to keep this for me just to remind me of that, because you'd be surprised. I think Ms. Sutter will tell you it's generally not like this. All right. There's generally much more to it than going on. I think, and I hope that all of this is just the result of bad decision making. Do you need some time to pay the $525? That's the final total with the $200 fines, $200 costs, crime victims' rights fee is $75, and the state minimum cost of $50. We can set that out for.
I would say 30 days, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you.
So we'll make it. What's 30 days? April 7th. Make that Friday. So the $525 costs are to be paid by April 7th, 2023. And you can make any money payment towards that as long as it's all done by April 7th. All right. Your public defender is Lauren Sutter. If you have any questions, she'll be happy to answer any of them. I am rooting for you today. Okay. All right. Good luck to you, Ms. Gearhart. You're all set.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And if you didn't get that, you know, send one back to me and I'll shoot it to you.
All right.
No problem.
Who's next, Ms. Sutter?
Mr. Jarrell Skates is here and ready to go.
All right, let's do Mr. Skates. I think that's a probation violation.
It is.
Ms. Martinez, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you too. Just saw Mr. Morley was in here. Mr. Stevens seems like he's always here now.
He loves them.
Poor guy.
See Mr. Morley like twice in 1 week now.
I don't know what to think about that. All right, we're on the record in docket 21-03051. That's People of the State of Michigan versus Jarrell Skates. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record?
Andy Stevens on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Lauren Sutter on behalf of Mr. Skates, who is seated to my right.
And sir, you are Jarrell Skates?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, this is the time set for a probation violation hearing. Mr. Stevens, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, it's my understanding that there will not be a contested hearing and that Mr. Skates will be taking responsibility for the probation violation. With, I think, maybe some fine tuning as to maybe the allocution,
Correct.
but I'll defer to Ms. Sutter on that.
All right. Is that a fair understand? Is that your understanding of what we're doing today?
Yes, Your Honor. My understanding is just one violation. It's Mr. Skates' intention to accept responsibility for it. And I personally, as his attorney, have some thoughts and opinions I'd like to approach with you on the recommendation.
All right, so, Mr. Skates, my understanding that you're going to waive your right to a hearing in the matter and plead as to the technical violation. You understand you have a right to hearing this matter.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're of course represented by Public Defender Lauren Sutter, and she would cross-examine any witnesses and contest any charges brought against you by the people. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's my understanding you wish to waive your right to a hearing and you're going to admit to the technical violations that have been alleged against you. Is that fair?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I'm gonna have you raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear affirm tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. It is alleged that on February 8th, 2023, that you failed to submit to random testing at Abner Health per an incident report that indicated February 8th, 2023. So there's an indication that you failed to submit to random blood testing. And then there's an indication that you did not follow the testing protocol. How do you, why don't you tell me what happened in that regard?
The only paperwork I've been sent is about violation number 15, the failing to follow the testing protocol. I have not been sent anything for a second violation.
All right, I think it's all one, but so let's have you admit, did you follow the testing protocol in regards to your appearance and to what you're supposed to do on February 8th, 2023?
I did not, Your Honor.
Okay. And that was in violation of your probation.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I don't have a report in regards to the spotting that there was a spotted device in the person's hand, but that's the only allegation. I'm assuming that's all out of the same allegation. Is that how you read it, Ms. Sutter?
That was how I read it, yes.
Okay. Okay, I find that admission to the probation violation be knowing, voluntarily, and accurately made. And then I will hear any allocution on sentence. You have a copy of the updated the probation violation recommendation.
Mine is dated March 3rd, so I'm assuming that is the
It's
most
the
updated.
same one, yes.
Thank you. I did have a conversation with Mr. Skates at length yesterday. This is a person I've known for over a year at this point, and I've worked with him on and off throughout the last year. And in my conversation with him yesterday, he's understanding of where this violation is coming from, as well as where the recommendation is coming from. As his attorney, my thoughts on the recommendation is if she's wishing to extend probation for 2 months, I understand where that's coming from. My concern on his behalf becomes he's struggling financially. Clearly, he qualifies for my office. And as I think we're all aware, the testing costs money. So I'm wondering if there's a balance to be found somewhere in her recommendation of increasing to 4 times a month testing from 2 times a month to perhaps land somewhere in the middle at 3 times a month so that he's able to afford the testing. And in addition, if the probation is to be extended 2 months, I do have some mild concerns about completing 25 hours in that time for an individual who's also trying to work to pay for the requirements of probation. So I'm wondering if in that regard, there is a balance to be found somewhere closer to 15 hours of community service as opposed to 25. Beyond that, in talking with Mr. Skates, I think the recommendation is altogether a generally fair one. Just trying to be realistic about what I think he's able to accomplish, not because he doesn't want to, but because of the financial burden of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stevens, any comment on this?
No, Your Honor, I'll defer to the court.
All right. Well, Mr. Skates, I don't think you've been involved with the public defender's office. I don't have a lot of history with you, right?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so
This was, I think, your predecessor's predecessor.
yeah, this is my predecessor's predecessor.
I think it was Judge Alderson, not Judge DeLuca, is what I mean.
All
by
right.
that.
I'm willing to strike a balance with you monetarily in order to make sure. I do think that the extended 2 months is a good thing for you. If you come back and you violated probation again because of your inability to go, then I'm learning something. And the learning is that my trust of you is going to be lacking at that point in time.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Sutterkin, I tell everybody this, I'm not concerned about you for the next 2 months. I mean, if you violate probation, I'll put you in jail. But that's not the answer, right? That's not how I see the world. That's not how you see the world. That doesn't fix what the problem is. The problem is that you've got to go through what you've been ordered to do. And I'm willing to make some changes with that. I think it's a fair request that maybe we throw your community service hours to 15. I think that's a fair request. Okay, and so I'm gonna place your community service hours at 15 hours, just so I understand you need to prioritize things in your life. Okay, I know you have to do that. There was the other request that it's been up for 4 times a month, which is really interesting request because you're being violated on not following the rules. But I want to give you the advantage of, okay, we'll up it once. Okay, we'll up it once to 3 times a week or 3 times at Avon Health, as opposed to 4 that's being requested at Aber Health, and then give you the opportunity to understand that this is now this receives priority, right? Now this receives you've got to get your testing done. You've got to get your community service done. You've got to do everything in that realm, because your preference and my preference is to get you through this, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's I don't think we want to spend Tuesday afternoons together, do we?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'm gonna have, with the changes that I've discussed, I'm gonna follow the probation violation recommendation. I'm gonna extend it to 2 months as indicated. I am going to limit the hours to 15 hours community service and then 3 times a month testing. I think that's the request, is it?
It is.
3 times a month testing. Anything else for the record in docket 21-03051, Mr. Stevens?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Sutter, anything else?
I have nothing else. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Skates, good luck to you, okay?
Thank you.
All right, you're all set. And I think you probably should go down to probation too, right?
Yeah, that's what I would recommend, either going down there on the 5th floor or calling her just to check in with her and let me know you're today.
Okay, yep, definitely.
If any questions, reach out to me.
Okay. Thank you.
Good luck to you.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody.
And Your Honor, would you mind if I took a peek at Mr. Castano's file?
Sure.
Thank you.
And that, Mr. Castano,
He's here for a PV arraignment.
Right.
I want to take, I've represented him before, so I have a question.
We're ready on Williams too, whenever.
all right, we can do Williams. So we're on the record in docket 21-02132, people of the state of Michigan versus Charles Williams. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record?
Andrew Stevens on behalf of the people.
Erin Robinson, Assistant Public Defender for Mr. Williams.
And sir, you are Charles Williams? All right. This is the time set for a violation of probation hearing. Mr. Stevens, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, it's my understanding, while I will defer to the defense, it's my understanding this is not going to be a contested hearing.
Ms. Robinson?
That's correct, Your Honor. He's willing to plead to the violation. I think the understanding is that the recommendation is to just terminate probation successfully. He did make a payment. However, that payment was on another ticket and not at this actual case. So he did make a payment to the court, but I think it's only a fines and costs thing.
So there's just a balance left of 605. Is that my understanding?
It is.
Okay. And he did make a payment today?
He made a payment previously last week when he was arraigned. However, it was put on a traffic ticket and not this case because
Okay.
he didn't specify which file to put it on.
All right.
Unfortunately.
Well, first things first, let's do the probation violation. And it's all based on fail to make payments.
It is.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Williams, you understand you have the right to a hearing today? And Ms. Robinson would be here to contest any charges and cross-examine any witnesses that people may bring concerning this allegation of violation of probation. Do you understand that? It's my understanding you wish to waive that and you're going to go ahead and confirm the allegation made against you. Is that correct? Okay, I'm going to raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury. All right. It's my understanding that under the technical violation that was filed by Brendan Hanna, that you had failed to make payments on fines and costs. No payments were made concerning this violation. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to find the confirmation of probation violation to be knowing, voluntarily, and accurately made. The recommendation is that the recommendation today, I don't want to reward you for admitting, but it's really comes down to money, right?
Yes.
You owe $605. You you made a payment on the file, but you have another file, so the payment went there. So you're left with $605 to pay. I refer to collections.
Oh, there's other matters. It looks like the magistrate referred to collections.
Okay. I'm going to refer all of it to collections. All right. So you've got that's what it means is that our file will be done. You still have a collections file. You have still other things that are going to do. If you neglect that, it's just going to end up in a show cause hearing and we're just going to run in cycles. All right. You're just going to get picked up. You know, you're going to have something better to do that night and there's going to be a warrant out for you and you're going to come right in here and we're just going to start this whole process again. So keep in contact with collections so that they understand that you're working towards that debt. And therefore you get you keep the show cause and the bench warrants off because that's what you really want to avoid. Do you understand that?
Yes,
I mean, I have, so I'm gonna terminate probation today. I'm gonna refer the remaining amount of money to collections to be with your other collections matter. Okay. I don't know what the total is on that. But it's 605 on this one, so it's not insignificant.
He was ordered by the magistrate to go there. He has not done that yet, so we think-
All right, so I would suggest highly that you, and where is collection? I'm not- where-
The counter just-
So go to the counter and tell them you're there for collections, all right? And tell them that you're there and start the process going. Because if you don't, they'll come to us and they'll want to show cause you. And then we just start this warrant process over again, all right? And it goes to bench warrant and we want to avoid that, all right? So I'm gonna indicate that the remaining $605 on this referred to collections. And then run right to the counter right now and indicate for them, you don't have to give them anything to go to collections. Okay, you just have to tell them you're going to, okay? And then set up a plan, all right? Whatever time you need, so that this can be done successfully, all right? All right, anything else for the record in docket 2102-132, Mr. Stevens?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Robinson?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, Mr. Williams, you're all set, okay?
God bless you.
So she's got Castano. We're waiting on Kelly. We have Perry Johnson here. I guess I can arraign him. Mute myself to do that. That's how that works. Sir, you are Jeremiah Perry Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, this I'm calling to the record docket 22000387. That is People's State of Michigan versus Jeremiah Perry Johnson. Sir, this is the date for a probation violation arraignment. I'm going to indicate to you the nature of the probation violations brought, and then indicate to you some of your rights in this file. All right, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, sir. So in regards to the violation, it was brought by Brianna Outen on February 17, 2023, signed by myself on February 21st, 2023. The allegation is you failed to pay fines and costs. No payments were ever made. That the balance of that is $395, and no proof of enrollment in Batter's intervention program, which was required by the probation agent. And then there's a non-technical violation that you failed to report to probation for the months of January and February on January 12th, 2023 and February 16th, 2023. Sir, do you understand the nature of the violations that have been brought against you?
Yes, sir.
All right. I see here that you were previously represented by the Public Defender's Office. Do you plan to seek counsel from the Public Defender's Office in this file?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's probably a good idea to seek the Public Defender's Office in this file. Do you have their contact information, sir?
No, sir.
All right. I'm gonna give you a number to call. Unlike when they come to you last time, when you were represented on this file, you're going to have to seek their representation in this probation violation matter. So you'll have to call this number, all right?
Okay.
Okay, do you have a pen or pencil available to write down the number?
Yeah, I'm ready right now.
All right, it's 517-679. So 517-679-2979.
Say the last digits. Say the last 4 digits, please.
Oh, 2979.
Okay.
So if you want to double check that, that's 517-679-2979.
Yeah, I got it.
All right. So the next hearing will be your probation hearing. And you have a right to a hearing. You have the right to be represented by counsel. Then you have a right to cross-examine or contest any charges brought against you in this probation violations matter. We're going to set that within 14 days. So the next will be your probation violation hearing. And that'll be set for
March 21st at 1:30.
March 21st at 1:30.
Okay.
So that'll be live in person on March 21st at 1:30. In the meantime, make sure you call that number and you indicate to them the March 21st date, so that if they're going to represent you, they have that hearing on file. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's March 21st date is the next time I'll see you. I don't see the Public Defender's Office represented you in the underlying file, so I don't see any. If you reach out to them, your chances are probably pretty good that they'll represent you in this file too. But then I'll see you on March 21st for the hearing. All right, sir?
Okay.
All right. Do you have any questions of me today?
No, sir.
All right. We'll see you back here on that March 21st date. That's all for the record in docket 22-00387.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're all set.
All right.
And you're free to leave the Zoom courtroom. Thank you.